Hey guys! This video is a response to this month's Carnival of Aces, which is being held on Cinderaace's blog. The topic is writing about asexuality. I'll put a link to the post itself if you want to check it out, but this is my video. So, I am both an undergraduate English literature and creative writing student and an asexual person, so this is a topic that I care a lot about. What I want to talk about is ways to write an asexual character, because particularly if you aren't asexual, it can be quite daunting. I am by no means an authority on the subject of writing about asexuality. You can take everything I say with a pinch of salt, because I am talking about personal preference here more than anything else. For me, personally, the most important thing is to use your words. Because if you don't use the word asexual or asexuality, you're going to have a bunch of people who are trying to claim it's not really representation, and you'll have people saying that it's fine to interpret that character as not asexual. I mean, it's all well and good as the creator of the piece of fiction saying, yes, well, I was intending this character to be asexual, but just write it, why don't you? Just put in that one word. It's not going to take that much out of your story. Now, if you're writing a historical piece of fiction, or you're writing something medieval where the word asexual wouldn't necessarily be around, then just put in the definition. Try and make it as clear as you possibly can that this character doesn't experience sexual attraction. Another thing is that you don't need to say it straight from the start. Like, you don't need to be, look, this is Andrew, he is the protagonist of this novel, and he is asexual. That's not necessary. You as a writer still have your right to dramatic tension, and to building up the narrative to a reveal. I know there are some people who get annoyed when a character's sexuality is used as a big shock reveal, but it doesn't bother me that much as long as the representation you get out of it is still good. Take, for example, the novel Quicksilver, which is the second in the Ultraviolet series. I'm going to be referencing this novel quite a lot. I'm trying pretty hard not to spoil anything, but I mean, I've already spoiled that there's an asexual character. But that's like it, that's all I'll do, I promise. Quicksilver is the second in the series. You don't find out that the character of Tori is asexual until about 150 pages in? I can't remember. But you get indications throughout this book, and the first one actually, that she is. Now, another thing is that your asexual character doesn't need to beat themselves up over it. They don't need to spend half the book lamenting over the fact that they're asexual or trying to work out what their orientation even is. Sometimes people are asexual and just fine with it. Oh, this is another important thing. Your plotline doesn't have to be about asexuality. Readers don't need a whole book to come to terms with the idea of what asexuality is. They don't even need a whole short story to come to terms with the idea of what asexuality is. If you're writing about asexuality, you don't have to make that the only thing you're writing about. I'm going to reference again Quicksilver here, because while it's not, the world's most perfect example of asexuality in fiction, it's the best I've ever found. This is a full-on young adult sci-fi, and I love it, and I would love it even if there wasn't an asexual character. But the fact that Tori is asexual isn't underplayed, it's not pushed aside, but it's not the key thing about this book. And that's great, because your sexual orientation isn't the key thing about anyone. Which brings me to my next point. Your character doesn't have to be one big stereotype. An asexual character doesn't need to be awkward or nerdy or unable to interact with people properly. They can be flirtatious. They can be very open to acknowledging other people's attractiveness. Remember that asexual doesn't equal aromantic. They are two different orientations. Of course, they coincide an awful lot, and there's nothing wrong with writing an asexual and aromantic character. In fact, I really hope you do, because there are not enough of those. It brings me back to my first point, really, doesn't it? Use your words. So yeah, that was this week's video. I would like to recommend that you all read the Ultraviolet series by R.J. Anderson. They are one of my favourite series of young adult novels, and if you like sci-fi and you like YA lit, you'll probably like them. I just want to quickly tell you that after this week I'm going home for Easter, and I'm not sure what my upload schedule will turn into when that's the case. But anyway, that doesn't mean there's going to be a radio silence or anything, and I will see you shortly. Let's go with shortly. Probably next Wednesday, but I'm going to go with shortly. Bye guys!